Hello, everyone. Today we are going to do our third social studies lesson of our second unit. And that's not quite the right page. There we go. So, the last couple days we talked about um, the first European explorers to arrive in North America, as well as this idea of imperialism and first contact. Today we are going to talk about the first explorer from France to come to North America. So if you look at a map, France is this country over here, right? A sailor by the name of Jacques Cartier, who we're going to bring up and I'll show you how that's written in just a moment, came from France all the way to North America and landed over here in eastern Quebec. All right? So, Jacques Cartier. 1534, the King of France sent a sailor named Jacques Cartier to try to find a route to Asia. So, what is in Asia? As a review, that's where all the silk and spices are, right? The other end of the Silk Road, China and India. So, Cartier made landfall in Quebec. Who do we think he ran into there? Well, if you'll recall from our first unit, in Quebec live the Mi'kmaq as well as the Haudenosaunee. So, who did he run into? Well, the Mi'kmaq and the Haudenosaunee. So, Cartier meets the Haudenosaunee. How do you think this meeting goes? Well, remember that the Haudenosaunee and the French have both a very different culture and a very different language. So they can't really understand each other. They see one another and maybe like the clothing looks strange to both sides, things like this. The way of life is totally different. Remember, the Haudenosaunee lived largely in the longhouses. In France, they were living in stone and wood buildings. There's no common language between the two, so they can't understand each other. So I'm going to put this link in the Google Classroom post for this day. I want you to watch this video. It's kind of goofy. Okay, it's more than kind of goofy. It's really goofy. But it's a poorly acted version of what the first meeting between the Haudenosaunee and Cartier and his crew may have went. All right, so pause now and watch that video. Okay, so I'm presuming you watched that and you saw that the Haudenosaunee word for village is Kanata. So that's actually where Canada, the country as we know it, got its name from. You see, as in that video, Cartier and his men thought that meant that was the word for the country, the land. But actually, it was the name of the village. And the village or it's not the name of the village, it's the word for village. The name of the village is a place called Stadacona. And Stadacona is right about where Quebec is nowadays. So Cartier lands, he visits Stadacona, meets the people there, and then gets stuck because winter falls. And when winter falls, the ocean is full of ice. And the wooden ships of the day did not stand up very well to ice. Right? You collide with an iceberg in one of those wood hull ships, and it's going down to the bottom of the ocean. So they had to stay for the winter. How do we think that this went? Well, I can tell you. In France, the winter doesn't get nearly as cold as it does here. Right? So the Frenchmen, were entirely unprepared for the cold winter. On top of that, they started to get sick with a disease called scurvy. Now, scurvy is a disease that comes from not having a lot of vitamin C. It makes your skin start to rot a little bit, your teeth fall out, you get very sick, and eventually it is fatal. It will kill you. So the the people of Stadacona noticed this. Cartier tried to hide it, but did notice this and provided the men with warm clothing and with a cure for scurvy that came from the cedar tree. So, how do you think Cartier repaid this? Well, he met with the leader at Stadacona, which is a man by the name of Donnacona. Cartier kidnapped his sons as well as Donnacona, kidnapped all of them, and brought them back to France so they could tell the French king about all the riches in North America, which they did. Told them of lands where there was plenty of precious stones and things to be found in North America. Donnacona and his sons never came back home. They got sick in France, and because they had no immunity to it, they passed away there. All of this was because of Cartier's biased point of view, and not just Cartier. This was common to Europeans of the day, but we're talking about Cartier today. So let's jump down his throat a little bit here. So he had a very biased point of view, right? He thought the Haudenosaunee were backward, and he thought he was better than that. His way of life was better than theirs. That's what he thought. So he saw no problem with stealing people away to serve his own needs. Needless to say, Cartier was a bit of a jerk. So what you're going to do is you are going to read through the diary entries on the textbook pages that will be in the package. So the diary entries, they all have a date, and then they have the entry in red. So there's for June 24th, July 6th. This one is this is from 1535, 1536, and this is the raising of the cross, so also 1534. All right. You're going to fill out the sheet. So I want you to, first, you're going to tell me what country he explored for and tell me what he hoped to find. These two are pretty easy. The third question is a little harder. So I want you to summarize in point form Cartier's interactions with the First Nations people for each of the entries. So for the June 24th, July 6th, July 24th, and on the second voyage. And for each of these, I give you the page number for the entry. All right, I just want you to write, let's say, 3 things that describe Cartier's interactions with First Nations people on that particular date or for that entry. All right, just 3 things. 1, 2, 3. Doesn't have to be even a full sentence. Just 3 things. Okay? And that is your task for this lesson. All right? Tomorrow, I'm actually not going to give a lesson. Tomorrow is just going to be a catch-up type day. So any catch up on any work that you're not done. So you can hand in this package come Monday. All right. So you won't get a lesson for tomorrow. I will put up a post reminding you of this, but there won't be a lesson. Okay. So until then, I want to make sure, like, all of you take care of yourselves and stay safe.